It was the 3rd year of my marriage to Ethan. His secretary Chloe sent me compromising pictures of them in bed. Without a change in expression, I forwarded the photos to my lawyer. Soon, my lawyer sent over the compiled documents. After reviewing the documents, I signed the divorce agreement without hesitation. At the same time, I called Ethan. But a sweet, syrupy voice answered, "Mr. Ethan isn't available right now. Can I take a message for him?" So I hung up. Taking the opportunity, I sent over the signed divorce agreement and legal complaint. After receiving another provocative message from Chloe, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The divorce was finally happening. Congratulations, Ethan. He'd walk away empty-handed. Ethan's family and mine were both in business, with a modest amount of wealth. But ours wasn't a marriage of convenience. We were childhood sweethearts. From school uniforms to wedding gowns, we were a match made in heaven in the eyes of outsiders. Falling in love with Ethan wasn't strange at all. Our families were long-standing family friends, and our mothers were best friends. Rumor had it that they wanted to arrange an engagement for us even before I was born. My parents also had absolute faith in the boy they had watched grow up. They had long planned to entrust the Preston to their son-in-law after their passing, so he could continue to protect their daughter. Just then, a knock at the door broke my train of thought. Auntie came in. "Nora, everything is packed. Uncle is waiting downstairs." "Okay, let's go." Auntie and Uncle had watched me grow up. After and I married, they moved with me to our new home to take care of my daily needs. A year ago, I told them to slowly pack my belongings in this house. Auntie didn't know why I was doing this, but she treated me like her own daughter, and following my instructions, she personally packed my things, never letting anyone else touch them. She hadn't revealed a single detail, not even to Ethan. By today, all I had left in this house were a few wardrobes of clothes. Ethan had bought all of them, and I didn't want to take a single piece. Perhaps because of this, Ethan hadn't noticed that almost all of my belongings had disappeared over the past year. After we officially started dating, our parents bought us a villa as our marital home, located closest to both our family companies. Now, I had lived here for 3 years. Ethan and I had personally chosen everything here, but I had forgotten the emotions I felt when we acquired them. I walked out without hesitation. Outside, Uncle had already moved the boxes into the trunk. Behind him were several other cars. That was the estate clear-out service I hired. After I left, they would enter the villa and clear out everything remaining. They were very professional. In just one day, they could completely erase all traces of my life here. And tomorrow, this villa would be sold off at a low price by the real estate agent. A buyer had already been found. Once the cleaning was done, they could move in ready. My phone rang on the way. It was Ethan. "Nora, were you looking for me just now?" I didn't reply. "I'm so sorry, I was busy and didn't see it. Please don't be angry, my queen, I won't dare to do it again." Ethan's voice was still so clear, filled with affection, always syrupy sweet when he spoke to me. Indeed, we had only been married for 3 years, and he was just 25. 25, young and accomplished. He was indeed a highly sought-after bachelor coveted by prominent families, but unfortunately for them, his equally distinguished childhood sweetheart had gotten there first. He was also the alpha CEO that young women adored. "Nora, why aren't you saying anything? Did you see the text message I sent you?" I retorted. Ethan on the other end must have checked his phone again, his voice puzzled. "No text message, Nora. What did you send?" Just as I expected, Chloe had deleted the message. I chuckled softly, changing the subject. "When are you coming back?" This time, Ethan was away on a business trip to a neighboring city for a major project, originally planned for a week, but he had already been gone for 2 extra days. There was a slight issue with the project, so it'll be delayed for another 2 days, Ethan said plaintively, then added, playfully, "I miss you so much. I wish I could come home right now and hug my Nora." I didn't comfort him as usual, just smiled again. "When you come home, there'll be a surprise." "Okay, Nora's the best." After a few more perfunctory exchanges, I hung up. While I was on the phone with Ethan, Chloe sent me several more pictures. Ethan was leaning against the headboard, talking on the phone, loosely dressed in a bathrobe, his expression tender. He was saying sweet nothings, as if he were truly so devoted. The pictures also showed 2 plane tickets to a popular resort. All this proved that Ethan wasn't busy with any project. Instead, he was messing around with Chloe and planning a romantic trip with her. I didn't reply to Chloe. She had become useless to me. I had intentionally sent that text message in the first place. I knew she would delete it. Just as she used to delete my incoming call notifications to Ethan after provoking me. She thought she finally had a chance to move up. And by deleting the text message, Ethan wouldn't know that I had already signed the agreement and filed for a divorce petition. Once the court ruled, our marriage would be void. After our divorce, she could pretend to be oblivious and seize the opportunity to take my place. But she didn't know she wasn't the first to challenge me. I had even forgotten who sent me the first message. Perhaps it was Ethan's classmate from the same department in our second year of marriage. Or maybe a young intern recently hired at his company. There were too many. But back then, Ethan had only flirted with them, nothing substantial developed. This was the most successful, she'd been flirting with Ethan for over half a year and finally got what she wanted, ending up in his bed. Looking at her social media posts, deliberately sent for me to see, and the expensive gifts she flaunted, I just felt like laughing. Did she even know that I could sue to reclaim all of these things? Of course, my lawyer had already prepared the legal complaint. From the first one to Chloe, I would reclaim every penny Ethan had spent on them. They themselves handed the evidence to me. I don't know why they were so brazen. Did they think that by sending these things to provoke me, I would get angry? Would I break down? Would I make a scene? I would only preserve the evidence. And then, I would make those young women, who knowingly became mistresses to a married man, pay the price for their actions. Of course, the man who couldn't control himself was the most reprehensible. The young women liked his money and wanted to be rich, but they used the wrong methods. As for Ethan, he couldn't be faithful and betrayed his marriage. He deserved even worse. My parents were already waiting for me at home. My mom saw several suitcases in the car and was very surprised. "Nora, what's all this? Why are you bringing so much luggage?" "Mom, Ethan and I are getting a divorce." My parents froze, thinking I was joking. "Nora, are you sick? Why would you want to divorce Ethan?" My mom said, reaching out to touch my forehead. "Let's talk inside." I took my mom's hand and went into the living room. My dad sent everyone else away. "Nora, what's going on?" My dad asked, worried. He knew that even though I'd been pampered since childhood, I was never willful. I placed the printed documents in front of my parents. They flipped through them, puzzled at first, but their expressions grew darker with each page. Seeing the latest photos, my dad furiously slammed the documents on the floor and raged. "That punk actually cheated on you. He's gone too far. I'll make Mr. William give my dear Nora an explanation." My mom was also extremely shocked. She took my hand, tears welling up. "Nora, I didn't know you suffered so much. If I had known Ethan would turn out like this, I never would have let you be together." They had watched Ethan grow up and thought they knew him best. Who would have thought that the person who had always cherished their daughter would be flirting around so soon after marriage, and now even have such sordid affairs brought right to her? "Why didn't you tell me sooner, Nora?" Enduring all this alone must have been so painful. My mom was heartbroken. My dad stood up, his eyes red with anger. "I'll call that guy right now. And Mr. William too. I'm going to ask him how he raised his son." "Dad, don't call yet," I urged, but my mom thought I was still clinging to Ethan, both angry and anxious. "My dear girl, he's treated you like this, and you still want to protect him?" "Ethan is in bed with Chloe right now. He won't answer," I said calmly, as if I wasn't talking about my cheating husband. "As for Uncle, we can tell him later." "Nora, are you so angry you're confused?" "Mom, I'm really fine. I want to tell the Williams family about this after Ethan returns. I have other things to take care of these next few days. Mom, Dad, trust me, I won't let myself be at a disadvantage." After a long while of convincing, my parents were finally persuaded. Ethan had just gotten off the plane with Chloe when he received a desperate call from an ex-mistress. The woman cried and blubbered on for a long time. After hanging up, Ethan's face turned ashen. Only now did he realize something was wrong. He'd been on a business trip for so long, and Nora hadn't called him once. No wonder Nora's voice had sounded so distant the last time they spoke on the phone. It turned out she knew about him giving gifts to other women in the past. Nora had been pampered by both families since she was little. How could she have endured such a humiliation? She loved him so much. She must be furious now. Ethan was very angry that these women, after taking so many things from him, couldn't even keep a small secret. Now it had reached Nora. And they expected him to help? Wishful thinking. Ethan frantically called Nora, but it didn't go through. Chloe saw Ethan's foul mood and whined coquettishly, "Mr. Ethan, what's wrong? Didn't I tell you we'd have no relationship after we got back? Watch how you speak to me," Ethan snapped coldly. Chloe lowered her head, looking wronged. Ethan was in no mood to show tenderness. He got into the car and told the driver to drive home immediately, completely ignoring Chloe, who was chasing after them. Nora had actually blocked him. Ethan gave a helpless smile. This girl had been possessive of him since childhood. He hadn't expected her to still throw tantrums after all these years. It made Ethan feel like he was back in his youth. If he spoke more than a few words to another girl, Nora would pout and look upset. He would have to coax her for a long time before she'd crack a smile. "Sir, there's no access code, we can't get in." The driver pulled up outside the villa and said awkwardly. He didn't know what was wrong. Usually, the gate opened automatically, but today it seemed to be malfunctioning. Ethan muttered to himself, "Nora's just throwing a little tantrum, it's fine, I'll go down myself." He then got out of the car, tried the fingerprint scanner, but it failed. He entered the passcode again, but it still failed. Helplessly, he shouted inside, "My good Nora, I'm home. Please, just hear me out." Footsteps immediately sounded from inside the villa. His was indeed just like she was when she was little, never able to be truly angry with him. Every time she got mad, he'd just coax her, and she would hurriedly come to open the door for him. Ethan's smile froze when he saw who opened the door. Who was this? Why was there a strange man in his house? The man, dressed in loungewear, peered out the door and asked, "Ked, who are you looking for? Who are you?" Ethan demanded, his face dark. The man was utterly confused by the interrogation. "You're messing with my access code at my doorstep, shouting and yelling, and then you ask who I am. Your house?" Ethan sneered. "This is my house. Where's Nora? Did she tell you to play along with her act? Open the door, I don't want to talk to you." The man also laughed in exasperation, pointing at the main door, then at the villa behind him. "I don't know you, and I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm guessing you're looking for the previous owners of the villa. I don't know where that family moved to. I bought this villa 3 days ago, and the process was completely legal and compliant." "Impossible. This is Nora and my marital home. There's no way it could be sold to you." Ethan refused to believe it. The property management staff arrived, having heard the commotion. They recognized Ethan and awkwardly explained that the villa's new owner was indeed this man, but wouldn't believe it. Finally, the man, out of respect for the property management, opened the door and let Ethan go inside to see for himself. Inside the villa, there was nothing left that belonged to him and Nora. Ethan stared at the empty rooms. The paintings were gone, the curtains and carpets they had chosen, all had vanished. Seeing his expression, the man sneered, "I already told you, this house was sold to me. How could Nora bear to sell their marital home?" It seemed he really had broken her heart this time. Ethan left, utterly distraught. When showed up, I had just finished a call with my lawyer. My mom heard from the house manager that Ethan had arrived and was so furious she wanted to kick him out herself. "Let him in, Mom. Please don't get so agitated," I said. Ethan came in and greeted my mom, but she ignored him. He gave an awkward chuckle and knelt in front of me. His voice was still gentle and affectionate. "I came too late. I made my Nora broken." I kept my head down, saying nothing. Ethan continued to explain, "Nora, there's nothing going on between me and them. Those gifts were project bonuses from the company, uniformly distributed by the assistants, but one assistant made a mistake and used my personal account. I didn't tell you then because I was afraid you'd misunderstand." Ethan had already prepared his excuse. After all, how would a privileged young woman like me understand the intricacies of company operations? And besides, I loved him so much. He had known me for over 20 years, he knew me too well. As long as he apologized quickly enough, I would forgive him. It had always been like this for years. But I just looked into his eyes and asked softly, "Is the scenery in Willow beautiful?" Ethan's face instantly changed. "Do you know that you still smell of Chloe's perfume?" Ethan quickly explained, "I accidentally got it on me. Nora, don't misunderstand. Do you know that I called you many times and sent you messages? But you never responded to me." As I spoke, tears instantly rolled down my cheeks, making me appear woefully sorrowful and resentful. I had practiced this expression in the mirror for a long time. From this angle, it looked the most delicate and fragile. "Nora, please don't cry. I can explain everything." Ethan panicked and reached out to wipe my tears, but I dodged his hand. I picked up my phone and showed him, one by one, the provocative messages I had carefully saved over the years, sent by his mistresses. At the first message, Ethan's face went pale, and it stayed that way until he saw Chloe's messages. From the first time he flirted with her 6 months ago, up to the compromising pictures from a few days ago, Ethan's face was now ashen as paper. These photos and text messages made his previous explanations seem so perfunctory and false. "Nora, His hands trembled as he tried to touch me, but I avoided him again. These are all fake, Ethan said, in a desperate struggle. I just cried in silence. Let's get a divorce. No. I won't divorce you, I'll never divorce you. Ethan blurted out. He knelt before me, making solemn vows. Nora, I was drunk that day, I truly didn't know. Nora, I don't want to hurt you, please don't divorce me. He was still equivocating, still lying. But I was satisfied, his evasiveness was exactly what I wanted. This way, I would have more time to settle the assets. Nora, please don't divorce me, I beg you. I promise I'll never make you sad again. Ethan pleaded for a long time before I finally seemed to relent, saying, heartbroken, just go. I don't want to see you right now. Let me be alone to calm down. Ethan didn't want to leave, but my mom had someone escort him out. The moment he left, I immediately wiped away my tears and waited for my lawyer to arrive. While I was chatting and laughing with my lawyer, my mom thought I was confused by grief. But she didn't know that I had been planning for this day for 3 years. Now that the fruit was finally ripe, how could I not be happy? When did I stop loving Ethan? I had even forgotten myself. Perhaps it was also on a bright afternoon. When we went to college, our majors were in different departments, so Ethan and I could only meet briefly after evening classes. Later, with heavy coursework, we could only meet on weekends. We still talked on the phone every day, though. Our many years of affection wouldn't change because of distance. We never felt any distance between us whenever we met. At first, I saw someone confessing their feelings for Ethan on the campus bulletin board. But I trusted him and even teased him about it. Ethan was handsome and wealthy, so it was normal for people to like him. I had enough confidence and security. I wasn't jealous because of it. However, during our rare meetings, I noticed another person's name starting to appear frequently in his conversations. I felt a little uncomfortable, but I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until I scrolled past a video posted by a passerby on the campus bulletin board. In the video, a handsome boy and a sweet girl had their heads close together, smiling as they talked. I didn't know what the girl said, but the boy smiled indulgently and ruffled her hair. Their eyes were filled with tenderness. Bright sunlight fell on them as if adding a pink filter. If the boy hadn't been my boyfriend, Ethan, I would have blessed them. My hands trembled with anger as I clicked into the comment section. Only then did I realize that this girl was the one who had previously confessed to Ethan. Ethan used to say he didn't know her. But other comments revealed the girl's name. It was the same name that had been appearing in Ethan's conversations recently. The signs had been there all along. I stumbled out of bed, pushed open the door, and was about to go confront Ethan. Unexpectedly, I ran into Sarah, who had just returned. Seeing me in such a frantic rush, Sarah quickly asked, Nora, where are you going? I'm going to find Ethan. Sarah knew about Ethan and my relationship. She hesitated for a moment, then grabbed my arm. Nora, do you want to know what you look like right now? My mind was a mess. The anger and pain of suspected betrayal by my boyfriend prevented me from thinking clearly. Hearing's words, I just shook my head, still wanting to run out. Sarah forcibly pulled me back to the dorm and pushed me in front of a full-length mirror. I looked up and was met with a face twisted in anger. My hair was messy, my face was streaked with tears, a button on my pajamas was undone, and I wasn't wearing any shoes. Who was this? I stared blankly at the woman in the mirror. The person in the mirror also looked confused, just like me, but still appeared twisted and frightful. How could this be me? I had never been so disheveled before. Seeing that I had calmed down, Sarah pulled me to sit down and poured me a glass of water. It was clear she had also seen the conveys. Page. That day, Sarah listened to me cry and rant for hours. Finally, she gently told me, you are Nora. You should always be confident and radiant, to embrace life brightly. You shouldn't be like this. Sarah's family was very poor, even attending school was a struggle, and she had to work constantly to earn tuition. Later, I had my family help, sponsoring all her school expenses and arranging for her to tutor at a friend's house. Last year, when her family had an emergency, I also helped arrange for her mother's hospital treatment, which was successful. Because of this, she was very grateful to me and often called me her ray of sunshine. Now, hearing her say that again, I subconsciously turned to look at the mirror. The me in the mirror still looked like a ghost. But's words made a lot of sense. I was Nora, the heiress of the Preston family. My life didn't have to revolve solely around Ethan. I decided to confront Ethan when we met that weekend. After all, we had been childhood sweethearts for so many years, and I really did love him. I also wanted to spend the rest of my life with him. However, since he had fallen for someone else, even though I was angry, I preferred to part ways amicably. But I never expected Ethan to act as if nothing was wrong. That weekend, he brought my favorite cake, his tone and actions as affectionate as ever. I didn't understand what he meant, so I asked him directly. I asked him, "Ethan, are you cheating on me?" Ethan vehemently denied it. I showed him the saved video. After watching it, he sighed helplessly and indulgently, "Nora, it's just the angle. Many of us were discussing things there. See here, aren't there other people too? Ah, so my dear Nora is jealous. I'll be sure to be careful from now on and never give anyone a chance to spread rumors." Ethan was as gentle as ever, his eyes filled with love for me. His palm resting on my head was still as warm, but I felt chilled to the bone. I had lived for 20 years, and Ethan for 20 years. Only today did I realize that, in Ethan's mind, I was actually an idiot. That closeness, those intimate gestures, he thought nothing of them. And his explanation was just as full of holes, completely insincere. So perfunctory that if I asked a few more questions, he would surely expose himself. Seeing I wasn't speaking, he took my hand and squeezed it, coaxing, "Nora, we're going to get married someday, you need to have more faith in me." I was going to marry Ethan. So, we would get married, and he could flirt with other people? Flirt to his heart's content, and still have me waiting at home for him to marry? In that instant, the person I had loved for so many years suddenly felt like he had gone rotten. I didn't give up on Ethan because of that one incident. I continued to observe carefully and discovered several other women he was flirting with. They didn't have substantial developments, but their tones of voice and intimate gestures clearly showed that their relationships were not ordinary. All of it declared to me that Ethan was a worthless person. I was truly blind and foolish to have only seen this person clearly after 20 years. I recalled everything about my relationship with Ethan over the years, and the more I thought about it, the more disgusted I felt. From that day on, I secretly enrolled in finance-related courses, studying online until I was dizzy every day. Because I didn't know if Ethan truly loved me, or if he had ulterior motives. My family's accumulated wealth over generations absolutely could not be ruined in my hands. Fortunately, I still had Sarah. After learning of my plans, Sarah immediately switched her major to finance. After graduation, I arranged for Sarah to join Williams. After all, for the young Mrs. Williams, it was incredibly easy to help a friend find a job relevant to her major. I even specifically asked Ethan to look out for Sarah, so Sarah operated within the company under Ethan's name. No one would suspect me. Or this love-struck fool. All these years, they only saw that I deeply loved Ethan. Whenever rumors occasionally reached my ears, I firmly believed in my beloved, never once questioned Ethan, and stayed home contentedly as Mrs. Williams. Everyone said the Preston heiress was utterly love-struck. A top student from a prestigious university, she rushed into marriage right after graduation and contentedly became a stay-at-home wife. The heiress showed no interest in her family's large company, leaving all projects for her husband to manage. Ethan would certainly inherit both Williams and Preston in the future, and then the two families would become one. Such rumors had been circulating in high society ever since Ethan and I got married. Everyone tacitly understood and assumed that Preston would merge with Williams in the future. Consequently, astute executives all sought collaborations with Ethan, wanting to get an advantage and then get a piece of the pie when Williams eventually acquired Preston. Their assumption wasn't wrong, the two companies were indeed about to become one. But not as Williams, but as Preston, my Preston. Ethan's assets, along with his shares in Williams, would all be transferred to my name after my lawyer reviewed the evidence and agreements. After marriage, every time one of his mistresses provoked me, I would pick a Williams project and subtly suggest to Ethan that Preston also wanted to participate. A man who had just cheated was always the most guilty and remorseful. And so, the majority of Williams's profitable projects ended up in Preston's hands. Ethan never suspected anything, and out of fear that I would overthink, he transferred the projects readily. After all, the Preston and Williams families were so close they were inseparable. What difference did it make whose hands they were in? I put on this act for 5 years. I acted so well that all my friends knew I deeply loved Ethan. My love was so convincing that when our families discussed our marriage, they didn't even consider a prenuptial agreement. My love was so convincing that Ethan never let his guard down against me, neither before nor after marriage. Ethan even, to express his sincerity, in front of both families, signed a prenuptial agreement, promising that if we ever divorced, regardless of the reason, he would walk away empty-handed. He also added a supplementary statement. If the divorce was due to his wrongdoing, all his shares in Williams would be gratuitously transferred to me. 22-year-old Ethan held my hand then, his eyes overflowing with love. Nora, I swear I will never betray you, and this prenuptial agreement will never take effect. This is my guarantee to you. You always have a safety net. How did I act then? Oh, I remember I cried, didn't I? I was profusely moved, hugging him and begging him not to sign such a document. But he insisted, personally signing the agreement witnessed by both families. At that time, both families even had the agreement notarized. After getting the notarized agreement, I feigned a tantrum, insisting on locking this ominous agreement away in a secure place. The adults from both families even teased me for acting like a child at my age. For so many years, no one ever mentioned the agreement again. Even forgot that I still held on to this document. He didn't know that once I had the agreement, I immediately encrypted it multiple times and securely protected this valuable document in my personal safe. This was the grave Ethan had dug for himself. Of course, I had to be extremely careful. When my lawyer arrived again, he carried a thick stack of documents. I meticulously checked each item, and when I saw that Williams's latest project had also been transferred to Preston, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Sarah, you even managed to get this into my hands. The girl beside me also chuckled, every little bit counts, and our Ethan worked so hard for a week on that project during High's business trip. How could we disappoint him? Sarah was my former roommate. These past years, she had been working at Williams, and we worked in tandem. Our relationship was incredibly close. She was grateful for my help to her in the past. In fact, she was my savior. If she hadn't stopped me that day and brought me back to my senses, I truly would have lived my entire life in a dream. Ultimately, I would likely have ended up with a cheating husband and the Preston family's fortune entirely in someone else's hands. When I was young, I could still be Mrs. Williams. But once my looks faded and I grew old, I would simply be kicked out. My entire life would have become a joke. I finished reviewing the documents and signed my name on them. Sarah was now a senior executive at Williams and held some shares. Over the years, she had also gradually acquired some scattered shares, and now she transferred all those shares to my name. Now, my holdings exceeded those of Mr. William. I patiently waited a few more days, until the court order arrived. Because of the prenuptial agreement and Ethan being the at-fault party, the court directly granted the divorce. Upon receiving the court order, I immediately convened a shareholder meeting at Williams. At this time, Ethan was still blocking my doorstep with a bouquet of flowers. He declared that he would definitely pursue me again and beg for my forgiveness. Mr. William looked at me, speaking confidently at the shareholder meeting, with an utterly unfamiliar gaze, as if he had never truly known me. Seeing the projects held by Preston that I presented, as well as the projects currently held by the Williams family, the shareholders exchanged glances. They were only concerned with dividends, so naturally, they would support whoever could make them money. After I finished presenting everything, I smiled and looked at the others. So, does anyone have any objections to the new chairman's candidate now? Except for Mr. William, all shareholders sided with me. After all, Preston had been involved in all of Williams's collaborative projects recently. If Group turned its back, Williams would quickly be marginalized. Nora, we are family after all, Mr. Williams said hoarsely, looking as if he had aged 10 years. I'm sorry, Uncle, but I divorced Ethan this morning. Now, my relationship with the Williams family is strictly business. Only then did he recall the agreement signed years ago. But, Nora, Ethan hasn't done anything wrong. The court won't grant a divorce. I smiled at him and tossed a document over. If sending compromising pictures with Chloe to my phone isn't considered wrongdoing, then I have nothing more to say. Mr. William immediately fell silent. He looked at the documents, his hands trembling with anger. Ethan was summoned to the company by Mr. William and received a severe scolding. He didn't understand why. It wasn't until he saw the court order that Ethan finally broke down. Impossible. How could the court rule this way? I never received any notification. This is fake. I'm going to sue. But the court order clearly stated that he was aware of and had no objection to the divorce agreement and the at-fault petition. Therefore, he had no possibility of appealing. I never saw the notification. He said, stumbling over to me to seek confirmation, Nora, you never sent me an agreement, did you? You're lying to me, aren't you? I did send it, I said, smiling gently and kindly as I had my assistant block him. The night you slept with Chloe, I sent the agreement. The evidence clearly states you were aware of it and had no objections. The color drained completely from Ethan's face in an instant. He remembered, I had asked him if he received it when he called. But he really hadn't seen it. No, Chloe had used his phone when he was taking a shower. That woman did it. Ethan collapsed onto the floor, his heart filled with hatred for Chloe. Mr. William, frustrated by his failure, kicked him and told him to apologize to me. I had no time to watch them put on a desperate ploy here. I just said, "Uncle, you know I'm disgusted just seeing Ethan now. He should voluntarily resign from his company position. If he leaves Williams and stays out of my sight, I guarantee you'll receive every penny of your dividends. Otherwise," I said coldly, tapping the resignation letter on the table, "Williams will cease to exist. And now, Ethan, come with me to finalize the divorce papers." Ethan came to his senses, tried to confess his wrongdoing and cling to me again, but Mr. Williams slapped him, knocking his head to the side. "What else are you going to cause? Are you determined to destroy the family before you stop?" Mr. William personally escorted Ethan to complete the divorce papers with me. Ethan held the divorce decree, still in disbelief, muttering, "How could this be? Nora likes me so much, she loves me so much, how could she actually divorce me?" I ignored them and went straight home. Not long after, the lawsuit to reclaim marital assets also succeeded, and I received the full compensation. I finally confessed to my parents everything I had done over the years. My mom was both heartbroken and regretful, wiping away tears constantly. My dad, having mastered the business world for so many years, quickly set about having me inherit the Preston after a moment of reflection. I was busy inheriting the family business, transferring shares, and attending social engagements. Sarah had now become the second largest shareholder of the Williams, and she was swamped working alongside me. Although it was exhausting, having wealth and power in my hands felt incredibly good. At banquets, no one would ever call me Mrs. Williams again. They called me chairwoman. No one would ever mention the love-struck young woman from the Preston family again. I was no longer a dependent of anyone, nor would I lose myself for anyone. When I heard the news of Ethan's imprisonment, I had just inked a major public sector project. At first, I thought it was just a rumor. It wasn't until the official announcement came out that I learned Ethan knew Chloe had deleted his information, which led to him being forced to divorce. He believed Chloe had ruined his marriage and caused his family to be expelled from the Williams. In his rage, he inadvertently pushed Chloe off the building. She died instantly. I only made a few remarks, and soon my attention was diverted by a new project Sarah brought. The past no longer concerned me. Just as I had declared years ago, I, Nora, was destined to embrace life brightly. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.